Hi guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the Spoiled Podcasts. It's going to be a two-part episode this week. The first part will be the podcast and the second part will be a dyeing tutorial. So I'm going to go and do the dyeing tutorial now. First thing you'll need is to soak your wool. So this is a hank of undyed wool and you'll need some warm water in the sink and a couple of tablespoons of citric acid. Just make sure it dissolves. They tell you to add the citric acid to the water and not to the wool because you can damage the wool. So we'll go ahead. If your hank of wool is like this, you just want to untwist it until it's a nice big loop. And then just press it down in the water. Be sure not to squeeze and wring because you don't want the wool to felt. Okay, so we'll leave that about 15 minutes. You can tell the difference. There's a lot of white patches in this. It might not show up in the camera, but you'll see it in person. So you'll know when it's fully saturated. The next thing you want to do is make a decision on colours. Pause. Hi guys, what we're going to do now is talk about the colours and the acids that we'll be using today. First things first, safety. Always use a mask. The powders can be very dangerous if you inhale them. Always put a mask on when working with loose powder and wear gloves because it will stain. So the brands of dyes that I have, there's 3 different ones. There's this Easy Fix all-in-one dye. These are quite good. They contain the citric acid as well, which for hand painting is quite important. As well, if you were dyeing in the pot method, I would still add a bit extra citric acid, and I'll be doing the same here. But if you're using vinegar as your main one, this would be a good alternative because you wouldn't have to use any vinegar at all. Jacquard, it's a make that's been around for a while. They do a nice range of colours, and again, no citric acid in this one, so this is where you would add the citric acid to the bottle for the dye. And Uralana, they have very nice colours and they've got a nice matte finish. There are plenty other dyes available, and excuse the dog, he's having a carry on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'll put my mask and gloves on, and then we'll get to mixing up the dyes. Pause. Okay, so what I've done is I've mixed up 2 colours and I'm going to demonstrate mixing up the 3rd colour. The amount you use is dependent on how strong you want the colour to be, so that the brightness. So for this particular colourway I want to be quite vibrant and quite deep in colour, so I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is quite a lot of dye, and I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of citric acid. So the difference is, for dyeing in a pot, you will add the citric acid in the water and the heat activates the dye as well as the acid, and the mordant process works that way. But when you're hand painting, you obviously can't pop it into the pot, so you do it in the microwave. So by adding the citric acid to the dye that you're applying to the wool, allows the colour to fix to the fibre. So I'll add 1/8 of a teaspoon, probably a little bit more. Probably more towards 1/4 of a teaspoon there. And then I shall top it up with a little bit of water to start with, warm water. And I'll just give it a little stir. Make sure you get the powder dissolved. What you don't want to do is fill it right up to the top with water and then try and mix it, because it'll be a lot more difficult to get the powder dissolved. So that should be okay. There we go. So the 3 colours I've chosen is not necessarily the most beautiful colourway, but we'll see what happens. So I have navy blue, chartreuse, which is supposed to be a mustard colour, but it's come out green, even though chartreuse is meant to be green. But according to Jacquard, it is more similar to the colour of the powder. So I can take the mask off now, because the powders are finished with. So the next stage will be to take the yarn from the sink, which I'll do now, and you just want to very carefully remove some of the excess water. So you'll notice I'm not squeezing, I'm not wringing, I'm not pulling, I'm not pushing, I'm just gently letting gravity take effect. So you want to do it wet, obviously, that allows the dye into the fibre strands, but you don't want to use it sopping wet because the dye won't necessarily replace the water. What you want to do is have the dye go in and not the water. So this is a dry one, I'll pop to one side. So for hand painting, there's a couple of different ways. So what I've got here is actually a board of plywood, covered with a towel, covered in cling film. The cling film is what you will wrap the wool up in and then use that to microwave or steam to heat set the wool. So you want to arrange it out, whichever way you want to do it. So I like to do 3 colours. Traditionally you would do a third, a third and a third, but I quite like the effect of having a solid colour over half and then splitting the other half into 2 and splitting the colour that way. Another way to do it to get a sort of striping effect is to split the skein this way and then try and dye this one colour and this one colour all the way around or in patches, and you'll get more of a striping instead of pulling. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to show you how I do the colourway Carrot in the Rain, but with different colours. So I'm going to start with navy because I want this to be the predominant colour. And you just pour on, okay, this is purple, so I'll just do a third. Oh. This is purple.
Has it stopped?
Is the colour come back on?
It's flashing. What's
Is
it
it
doing?
still recording?
Oh, it's just...
Okay, so a slight technical problem in that I haven't used this navy colour before, and at the moment it looks purple, but we're just going to go with it. There's already a purple in there, so you just want to apply it. Now it's on the cling film, so it's not going to go anywhere, and what you want to do is make sure you're getting underneath the wool. You want to make sure it's all coated. Sometimes white patches can be pretty and beautiful, but for today's purposes I want everything to be covered. No white showing. So just keep pushing it in, don't be too rough, just squashing it down. You can see there's lots of excess dye in here, but it will get soaked up. So instead of doing half with this colour, like I was going to, I'm just going to do thirds. I just want to make sure it's all taken colour and not just water. So if we flip this over, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Just have a little bit more on. So what happens is the colour, certain colours strike faster than other colours. And even when you're doing the same colour, it can be taken up quickly by certain parts of the wool, and all that's left is the water and the citric acid at the end of it. Whoops. Okay, so the next colour, I'll go for chartreuse. And let's see what this looks like. Yeah, you probably want to clean your fingers in between. Oh, that's unusually... It's quite nice, it's an acid green colour. So with hand painting, I find you get a more accurate placement of colour, and you can almost do an ombre effect. I've done that once, instead of having to dye half a skein of yarn in one colour and then rescanning it and putting it into another. You just do it this way. And you can also get some of the more speckled and mottled effects just by going over some of the lighter colours with the darker colours. So I'll maybe do that over the green and see how that turns out. And then you'll also get a little bit of mixing of the colours where they meet. Okay, so we'll have a quick look and see underneath and see what it looks like. I can see some white on it already. Looks okay underneath, to be honest. So I'll just apply a little bit more where I can see it. There's no rush, take your time, make sure it's covered, make sure you're happy with the coverage and the colour. And if it turns out horrible in the end, put it in a pot with some navy and over dye it, it always works. Okay, and colour 3 is purple, another purple. It's much more purple, this one. I do like this Euroland dye, the colours are nice. This is the purple from Carrot in the Rain colourway. But I do find this purple takes up at different rates, so you do have to watch that there's no white spots. I've had that issue before, so if you see underneath there, it's taken up the top fibres quicker. By the time the liquid reaches the bottom, it's just clear. Also, the dyes don't smell that great, but hazard of the job. So that'll be an interesting transition, and also the colours change a little bit once they're heated and set into the wool. So it'll be interesting to see what this, it does look a bit more blue now that it's on. And it's funny how colours change that way. And you see more of this white patches even though it's taken up some of the colour. It's always important to keep cleaning products at hand. I've got a selection sitting over there because you will always get the invariable splash. Most spray cleaners will lift it, but I do keep some bleach on hand just in case. I think I would have done a more concentrated dye for next time. This is quite watery. But there's an easy fix for that. I'll just grab some kitchen roll, excuse me once, and just dab up the excess. What you don't want is, you've got these nice separation of colours, and what you don't want is to roll it up and have your purple running into your green and vice versa. So just mop up the excess. And it should ensure nice clean coverage, because I'm going to have to add a bit more purple because it's still not mopping it up correctly. And there's also some more white appearing in the green. So this is why I say take your time, make sure the coverage is the way you want it. If you want a speckled yarn speckled with white, then that's fine. It's all preference. So I'll just pop that here, and I'm just going to go back in with a little bit of purple over the green here. And then let's just do a couple of splashes. Break up that green a little bit. I want to be careful with the flicking just in case. There we go. A little bit more in here. Also want to check inside the wool because it's at its thickest. Just make sure it's all penetrating. Okay, I think I'm happy enough with that now. So again, just mop up the excess. And then you make a jelly roll. So, like I was saying a minute ago, with the colours running, you want to make sure that when you're wrapping them up and microwaving, they're still quite separate. You don't want to just roll it all up. So, endeavour to do it carefully. You also want to make sure the yarn is covered, because if you don't, it will burn in the microwave, and you don't want that. This is still quite wet. I mean, it will absorb in, and hopefully by the time you take it out of the microwave, the liquid should be clear because the dye will have been absorbed into the wool. But you don't want to cause stain to spill out when you're carrying it to the microwave, or in the microwave. So just roll it up. Okay, so we'll pause there and I will put it in the microwave for 2 minutes and we'll get back to it once it comes out the microwave. Okay, so it's had 2 minutes in the microwave now. The microwave I'm using is a 1000 watt, so you'll want to convert that, but 2 minutes seems fine to me. So what you're doing at this stage, now please be careful, the yarn will be hot and you will get burnt. Shh. Max, stop. So you're checking to see if the liquid that's in the bowl still has colour. If it still has colour, you need to microwave it. So from now on, for me, what I do is 2 minutes initially, and then it'll be 1 minute thereafter, and just keep checking. So as you can see, the purple water still remains. So this will go back into the microwave for another minute. Okay, so it's now had 3 minutes, and there's still a lot of purple in there, but I'm looking at the other colours, and the green is running clear, and the blue seems to be running clear. So because there was so much purple in there, I'm happy enough to just rinse it out now. So you've got a couple of options. One, if you've got the time, leave it to go completely cold so you can handle it without any fear of getting burnt. Just let it go to room temperature. Another option is bring the temperature down yourself. I don't have a lot of time to stand there and wait like 4 hours for this yarn to cool down. So what I would do is move it over to the sink, turn the tap on hot so that it's similar temperature, and then just gradually bring the temperature down and down until you can handle the wool. Now there are dangers if you change the temperature too quickly. You could felt the wool and you'll just have a tangled mess. But I've not had so far, touch wood, any issues with bringing the temperature down this way. So I'll just put a bit more cold in there now and just open the packaging out a little bit. I think I'll put the plug in actually. Now I'm wearing gloves. They're not heat protection gloves completely, but they do offer a bit of protection. So if you just open this out a little bit. So at this stage, if you've forgotten to add the citric acid, the colour would probably just be running out now. You would never get it to go clear. Okay, so the temperature in the sink's a bit cooler. So what I want to do now is just open up the cling film. There we go. That purple has turned out really well. And it is navy of a sort. Just got to get the rest of it off now. Now this wasn't necessarily a combination of colours I would have picked straight away, but it actually doesn't look too bad. This was more just for demonstration purposes. There we go, so get rid of the cling film. Now let's have a look. So you have your green, purple, and the blue. And look, after me saying all of that about the white patches, there are some, but we'll just pretend that we're deliberate. And you have some purple splotches, you have some splotches on the green. So what you have to do now is wash, although in saying that there is no dye in the sink, so that's good for me. That looks like it's taken up a lot of the dye and it's not sitting in the waste pipe at the moment. So I just add a little bit of dishwashing liquid. I use a scented kind, it's a fruity one, so that it imparts a little bit of scent to the wool. And then just kind of give it a push. You don't want to swirl it around, you don't want to pull it apart, you just want to give it a gentle press that allows the liquid to penetrate into the wool. And then you just want to start rinsing. So I'll show you one rinse cycle. If I can get hold of this. So it's similar to earlier, you just want to run down. And the water's clear, so I know that there is not any dye left in it. Now you just want to use some warm water to just rinse out the soap now. You don't want a If you don't rinse it out, you're going to be left with like a, I wouldn't say crusty, but a harder roll. That's very hot water. Oops. And then again, just gradually bring the temperature down. Now at this stage, if you have a spin dryer, that would be a really good course of action. I don't at the moment, so I just, as gently as possible, squeeze out as much water by hand, and then it just gets hung up over the sink to drip dry. That can take anything up to 24 hours. Okay, so this is a faraway view of the colours. So you have that lovely purple feeding into the green, which I'm very happy with, and going into the navy. So this will just get hung up for, well, I'll hang it up overnight and see what it's like in the morning. But you generally find it'll continue, gravity will just keep pulling the water down. And I'll insert a picture at the end of the podcast about showing you the finished product. I shall take pictures of it in the hank when it's dried, the skein when it's dried, and when I'm rescaling it. Okay, thanks, bye.